Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers, Spooky Toaster 88. Thanks for the suggestion, Spooky. You asked, when did the concept of urban legends begin? Great question. We all love a good urban legend, the kind of story that spreads like wildfire, making you question whether you really need to check the backseat of your car before driving. But when did these creepy, bizarre, and sometimes ridiculous tales first start making the rounds? Were people telling spooky stories back in ancient times? Did cavemen sit around the fire warning each other about haunted mammoths? And most importantly, why do we still fall for them today? Stick around as we unravel the history of urban legends, from ancient myths to internet creepypastas, right here on Explaining Everything. Before we even had the phrase urban legend, humans were already spreading wild stories. Ancient civilizations had their own terrifying tales, usually featuring monsters, gods, or very specific rules you absolutely should not break unless you wanted to be cursed for 7 generations. The Greeks had Medusa, basically, don't look at scary women or you'll turn to stone, which, let's be honest, sounds like an excuse some dude made up to avoid commitment. The Romans had ghost stories, because apparently, even back then, people wanted to be spooked while eating dinner. And medieval Europe? Oh, forget about it. Every bridge, forest, and abandoned castle had some kind of supernatural entity just waiting to ruin your day. But here's the thing. These weren't urban legends. They were just legends. Most were based on folklore, mythology, or attempts to explain weird things happening in the world. Oh no, my crops died. Must have been the work of an evil spirit. Or more realistically, oh no, my crops died. Must have been the fact that I have absolutely no idea how farming works. Fast forward to the 19th and 20th centuries. This is where things start getting good. The world is modernizing. Cities are booming. People aren't just worried about wolves in the woods anymore. They're worried about sketchy strangers, shady science experiments, and, apparently, cursed chain letters. The term urban legend wasn't actually coined until the 1960s by folklorist Jan Harold Brunvand, but the concept had been around for much longer. Early examples include stories about killer hitchhikers, cursed objects, and mad scientists doing mad scientist things. Sound familiar? That's because these legends are basically just ancient myths, but make it modern. One of the earliest urban legends? The vanishing hitchhiker. This one's been told in 1,000 different ways, but it's always the same idea. Someone picks up a hitchhiker, only to find out later that, gasp, they were never really there. They were a ghost the whole time. Oh, spooky! And let's not forget the sewer alligator myth, which exploded in the early 20th century when people became convinced that New York sewers were full of massive, mutant alligators. Why? Because apparently, people really thought flushing a baby gator down the toilet would somehow create a Godzilla scenario instead of, just a very confused alligator. If you were alive in the 90s or early 2000s, you remember the absolute chaos that was email chain letters. Forward this to 10 people, or a ghost will eat your entire family. Like what? Who was out here writing these? Was there an office somewhere full of ghosts just waiting for you to hit send? Then came creepypasta, the internet's version of urban legends. Stories like Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, and The Rake took on lives of their own, proving that no matter how modern we get, we love a good, spooky story. The internet became the ultimate breeding ground for these tales, because now, instead of some old dude telling you a scary story by the campfire, you got your horror delivered straight to your inbox at 2 a.m. All right, here's the big psychological twist. Why do we keep telling these stories? Why do urban legends never die, even when we know they're probably nonsense? Well, first, there's the thrill factor. Humans love scaring themselves. It's like a roller coaster for your brain, except no seatbelts and 100% more paranoia. You ever hear a story about someone hiding under your car at night, waiting to slice your Achilles tendon? You know it's not real, but you still do that little check under your car, just to be sure. Second, urban legends tap into our biggest fears: strangers, the unknown, technology, losing control. It's basically our anxieties, but in story form. And let's be honest, sometimes they're just really, really funny. I mean, who came up with the idea that Pop Rocks and soda could make your stomach explode? And why did we all just believe it without question? So, when did the concept of urban legends really start? Well, the truth is, they never really started. They've always been around, just evolving with the times. Ancient myths turned into spooky campfire stories, which turned into modern urban legends, which are now just creepy TikTok trends that make you sleep with the lights on. At the end of the day, urban legends exist because we want them to. They entertain us, freak us out, and sometimes even teach us a lesson, like maybe don't pick up random hitchhikers or drink a mysterious potion from a guy named Steve. So next time you hear a creepy story that sounds just too weird to be true, ask yourself, is it real? Or is it just another urban legend? And then, of course, tell everyone you know, because that's how these things survive. And hey, if you made it to the end of this video, congratulations! You are now cursed to share it with 5 friends. Just kidding. Or am I? If you enjoyed this video, or if you suddenly got the rational urge to lock your doors tonight, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.